Hi everyone, my name's Ben Merchant. I'm one of the enterprise technology leaders here at Empiric. Empiric Insights is our video series where our team sit down with experts across different specialties that we recruit for to hear their guidance and perspective on current influences shaping the industry. On today's episode, we're joined by Santi Tacoronte, the Chief Data Officer for Europe for Mondelez International. Thanks for joining us today, Santi. It'd be brilliant just to kick us off, just to get a bit of an introduction of yourself.
Thank you for having me, Ben. So about myself, my name is Santiago. I come from Spain. I've been working outside from Spain for quite some time already. And my background is in digital businesses and digital services. I've been in many digital functions and transformations, but always with a big taste or a lot of strong taste of data and analytics across different functions, again, commercial and IT and digital services.
Excellent, brilliant. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for the introduction. Just to sort of get into some of the questions wanted to cover today. So, you've been very vocal about shifting sort of data teams from service providers to strategic business partners. What's kind of the key to making this transformation stick, and what should hiring managers look for when they're building truly business-driven data teams?
So the first thing is a mindset shift. We need to move from what do you need into what problem are we solving? This is the key mindset shift that we need to make. And then we need to embed data professionals and in general digital professionals with business. I always say that the value of digital or data initiatives is directly proportional to how close it's to the business. Right? Business that, and I'm going to use the word silos. Business that is very separated from IT won't produce as much value as those that work together. Storytelling is also key. Translating technical insights, code, architectures into a narrative that is appealing to business and stakeholders. And one thing that is also super important is to have common or joint ownership of the outcome. If it's me selling it to you, it's not the same as we building it together. And in terms of what to hire, what should managers look like? The first thing is curiosity. And we can speak later about technical skills, hard versus soft skills. But the curiosity about understanding and asking why, it's super important. Communication skills are more important than ever. The ability to present to executives, to managers, to business owners, and explain technical concepts simply. Domain expertise is obviously required. I mean, I think that past the era of generalists and the digital products mindset forces people to be an expert in something. And the last thing is accountability and resilience. And this is not only for digital or for data teams, it's in general. Organizations that have a strong ownership perform better. And the second one is resilience, because like it or not, you're going to receive a few punches. Always. It always happens. So the ability to also to stand up after upsetting times or things not going well, it's really key in the professionals of the future in building strong data teams.
Perfect. Brilliant. Yeah, great answer on that one. Great response. And I guess reading your recent newsletter, you highlight vibe coding. So essentially coding through AI prompts without sort of traditional programming knowledge. And you've called this the big and noted it's sort of winning hackathons. So how does this shift change, and what should organizations be sort of looking for when hiring technical talent? And are we moving towards a world where problem solving mindsets and soft skills might matter more than the coding expertise?
Excellent question, Ben, and a very hot topic. And it's a topic that is not leaving anyone with cold feet, because there is the side of the programmer saying vibe coding is meh, or is not exactly what we need, and the vibe coder saying that is amazing. I was in a train this summer in Italy, and on the train there was a public announcement system going on. And it was the announcements they were giving were completely wrong. I was thinking to myself, well, there must be a better way of doing this. And so, and at the same time, there was the hype or the peak of vibe coding. So I go out during my vacation, I opened a lovable.dev, and I said, let me put together an application that uses AI to create public announcements using natural voices and the ability of generative AI to create those announcements, nice announcement in the copy itself with nice voices that can be dynamic and use other data. So I go to Lovable and I start, vibe coding and prompting. And after 1 hour, Ben, I said, wow, this is big. Because in 1 hour, I've made the backend, the entire registration system. I had connected to the OpenAI API and got the generative AI creating announcements. And I had connected to 11 Labs API and was generating audio announcements after the OpenAI, the ChatGPT has created the announcement. And it was an aha moment where I said, well, coders are in trouble. What this tells us is that democratization of digital assets, digital properties, digital tools, it's now there. And it's a very small barrier to create anything. What this also tells us is that problem solving becomes primary, because it's not so long about how to code or to connect to those APIs. It's about what problem are you trying to solve? And this is more and more important. The next one is prompt engineering as a core skill for all of us. Because at the time of doing vibe coding, you also need to be somehow precise with the instructions that you're giving and the outcomes that you are expecting and how you are interconnecting things. And that is a great segue to interoperability. You need to make sure that all these components or modules that you are vibe coding and creating, the back end, the front end, the features, they are interconnected somehow. So a bit of architectural thinking is required as well. And one of the things that experienced devs said is that, well, the code that vibe coding creates Lovable is not great. It's not scalable. And that might be the case yet, because I think this is going to change too. So quality assurance, it's also super important, being able to assess if the code that all these vibe coding applications are creating, it's really of quality and can be scaled. Also security, super important. So why do we need to look for companies that want to use vibe coding as prototyping and creating, developing quick solutions? Systems thinking, interoperability, modular thinking, interconnecting different parts of systems or solutions, debugging mindset, understanding where and how something might be failing and prompting to fix it quickly. And acquiring those new skills like AI collaboration, prompting optimization, etc., etc. Now, to conclude this answer, vibe coding, it's excellent to prototype and build something. Do I think that you can vibe code an enterprise application today? I have my doubts. Do I think that you will be able to do it in the future? I'm 99% sure, Ben.
Good stuff. Brilliant. Well, thank you for that, Santi. And, I guess on this topic, you've also said AI should sort of enhance productivity. So not to replace people, but to enhance productivity. And with all the AI hype at the moment, what human skills will actually become more valuable? And how should tech leaders balance AI adoption without losing the human edge that really drives innovation and change?
Very good question. I think this is a debate that is everywhere, companies, conferences, everywhere. We are in a journey of rediscovering what makes us truly valuable as humans. Because Ben, many of the things we used to think or we used to believe were added value are not any longer. And the key question is, what is that thing that is unique to us that a machine cannot do? So once we find that, it might be different in different sectors, different industries. There are some hints clearly here. Creativity and strategic thinking are things that are more human, or things that machines are still more struggling to do. And while we find that, we need to use amplifying principle, and use AI to do more of what humans do best and not replace everything. Emotional intelligence, AI can replace empathy, or well, they're trying, but there is something in human empathy that machines are not able to replace. Relationship building, for example. What is clear is that there are a number of tasks or part of jobs that will be taken over by AI, the repetitive stuff. But let me tell you one more thing, Ben. Anyhow, who wanted to do that? Who wanted to spend their entire morning copying and pasting, uploading from a system or downloading from a system and uploading into other? So I do think that there will be, yes, jobs and works that will be impacted. That's for sure. We're seeing it already. But there will be another subset of things that will make work more fun, less admin. And the skills, you ask about the skills that will make it more valuable, are strategic thinking, creative problem solving, change management, definitely, ethical reasoning, making the judgment calls that AI cannot make. AI can do repetitive work and can use a lot of data today still, but they're not. The AI is not so good as giving judgment, putting all the things together and giving a judgment that is still a more human thing. And for leaders, they need to be open to experiment and encourage AI tools adoption. They need to continue to learn how prompt engineering works and how is it evolving. And also establish boundaries and where human judgment is non-negotiable. There are things, I was giving this example to someone the other day. I refuse to, in a podcast episode, to think that someone that will join an company will do all their interviews through AI. I don't think there is a lot of value of humans interviewing humans and getting this sixth sense that a machine will be never able to grasp. So those are the things are going to be changing and continue to change in the next few years.
Brilliant. Yeah, great answer. I think a lot would agree with those points as well. And leads me on to sort of our next question. Your productivity tree content focuses heavily on cutting through busy work culture. So for senior tech leaders building internal teams, what's the difference between a team that looks busy and one that's generally productive? And what are the telltale signs of each that you see?
This is, thank you for the question. I love it. I work a lot on this specific topic. And the signs that a team is not productive, let me give you a few. Meeting culture, status update, more time giving status updates than doing actual work. Still, in some places, it's about hours and not so much about output. I will take output with a pinch of salt because output is not the only KPI to be measured on productivity. Teams that are not great or not super productive tend to be firefighting most of the time, fixing, solving problems continuously in a constant firefighting mode. And particularly in legacy companies, uh, complex processes, legacy processes that have been built during years that the company still follow because they were thought with an intention, but they have grown organically to become a bit of a monster with 300 heads. And they are difficult now to reverse engineers. And productive teams on the other side, they have a clear outcome focus. They don't spend time discussing things that don't bring value. They have ruthless prioritization. Those teams are very quick to say, no, we're not going to do that. This is not a priority for us. And another thing that you see in highly productive teams is that they have time to do deep work. It's again, probably a correlation with the meeting culture. So a productive team, they have time to do quality work, to spend a good 3, 4, 5 hours a day doing, thinking, strategizing, working on creative stuff that helps them bring value. Now, the leadership indicators I give to productive teams is the quality of questions. Productive teams always ask, should we? Instead of, okay, let's do it. Decision velocity, it's also a good indicator, how quickly those teams get to decide. And then learning loops, right? There's this regular reflection of how we've been doing. What do you think about that project? How did it go? What would you change? These 3 things are symptoms of, and prioritization as well. These 4 are symptoms of, or traits of leaders or productive teams.
Excellent. And that leads me very nicely into the next question I had for you here. You've got very varied experience in digital transformation across multiple continents and industries as well. And, what should organizations expanding globally know about building diverse, internationally minded tech teams?
Cultural intelligence and understanding how different cultures approach technology and, more important, change is very different in different cultures. So you need to understand how each culture understands change mostly. Regulatory awareness, it's becoming critical because transformations needs to account for regulations, and those regulations are differing in different geographies. Particularly with data privacy, it's important to understand the do's and don'ts of regulation across countries and regions. One of the things I love to say is under-promise and over-deliver. Because transformations tend to come with a shiny proposal with a lot of marketing embedded on it, which I'm not saying is wrong, but it tends to give expectations that might not be always realistic. And this is something that is common across cultures and regions. Over-promised expectations never work well. A Kaizen mentality, building one step at the time, becoming 1% better every day, rather than we're going to completely transform in 6 months the way we work and everything, and we're going to become leaders in technology or in digital. And avoiding precipitation. There is a great leader in our organization called Reno, Daniel, that recently wrote in a post that he wrote in LinkedIn, precipitation creates fragility. It's a post I recommend you all because it speaks about the rushing into doing transformation, missing steps, missing the foundations, and then tripping. So those are the things I would say works quite well. In terms of building international teams, always the same. Hire for adaptability, resilience, and curiosity. People that is able to adapt, because transformations always main change of direction. I don't think there is a single transformation that has gone on a straight line in the history of digital transformations. There is always curves ahead. There are bumps, so high for adaptability, and you will get a team that will be ready to pivot whenever needed.
Perfect. Yeah, well, great answer again. And thank you for the insight there and the recommendation. On to sort of the last couple of questions. And, I think this is a really a key one. You've taught over 30,000 students and champion making analytics accessible to non-technical professionals. As the data landscape shifts rapidly, what alternative career paths are emerging for people maybe without the traditional computer science backgrounds? And in your opinion, should organizations focusing on developing internal talent or hiring externally?
Mhm. So a lot is changing in the field of data analytics, and AI is disrupting many parts of it, from data analysis itself to the whole engineering part and other areas of data analytics. What I think this is going is to citizen data analysts, meaning business people that becomes a data analyst without necessarily having a tech background, as you said, because the data part of it and the analytical part of it is supported by AI. I recently saw a conversational analytics AI tool that answers with incredible accuracy to prompts to data. So this is taking us a bit from the dashboard era a little bit more into the prompting analytics. And that is super important because AI prompting, it's a critical skill for everyone to have. I was at a conference this week, and there was a brilliant speech by someone from the UN, the chief data officer at the UN. And he said that we come from an era where leaders asked questions, but they didn't have a lot of answers, or answers took time to get. And now we are at a moment where we have so many answers that is what is really, really important is what questions you make. And there are leaders that are struggling to make questions because the overwhelming amount of information we have now, it's answering everything almost real time. So goal-oriented questions combined with prompting and the analytical mindset is where we are heading. Another big component of this, Ben, is data storytelling or storytelling, because you can prompt your analytical systems and get a number. Okay, so tell me how we did last month on sales for, I don't know, whales. But then the story you put behind, this is going to be very much up to you because you know the context of your organization and the story that you need to put together and who you're dealing with. That's something AI is not going to give you. And then I think we all have a role in ethics and governance of this, in respecting private data at the time of using AI and doing analytics. It has been there always, but it's becoming even more important. Ensuring that there are no biases that are creating unfairness through the answers that we get, and caring for each other as humans, as business people, as colleagues. Those are the elements that are going to be key, progressing from the descriptive and predictive analytics more into the conversational analytics. Then your second part of the question, internal versus external. I don't think there is right or wrong here. Internally gives you better business context, that's for sure. Probably a higher cultural fit and retention. But might not want to have, or you might not need to have all specialized skills in-house. And this is where hiring externally or freelancers or hiring external companies, it's important. I do think that the virtue is in the middle ground and the middle point, and it's good to have enough internal muscle to do things and with enough skills, but also augmenting it with new technologies or new things that are happening that come externally, because you don't necessarily want to, not every company will necessarily become a high-tech company or a company that has specialized roles for absolutely everything.
Perfect. Well, yeah, brilliant. And thank you, Santi, for all of your sort of insight and some very sort of educational. Is there at this stage, is there anything that you'd like to add that we haven't covered during this conversation today?
I would say to everyone that is working with data today, and not only with data, that is working in an organization that is using AI, to keep an open mindset, but more than anything, Ben, to preserve our human critical thinking. This is super important. Don't become just a follower of everything that AI says. Find what makes you, find your edge as a human, what makes you great, that an AI, an algorithm can do, and put it in motion. Look at your strengths and work on them, and then support yourself with AI to remove the busy work and the things that are really consuming your time, and not letting, and you free up time to do those things that make you authentic, Ben. Don't never lose your authenticity to AI or to any system or to anything, because humanity is it's the essence of who we are.
Well, thank you very much again, Santi, for your time today. It was really interesting to listen and speak with you and hear your sort of insights into these topics, and very educational answers that you shared with us. For anyone out there that would like to follow Santi, hear more about his journey and what he's up to, please drop him a follow or a connection on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Ben.